This is my review of the Beach Boys album, Light Album. As some people also call it LA album. It was released in 1979, produced by Bruce Johnston, the Beach Boys, and their manager, James, I'm not sure how to say his last name. So this album I used to have on the 2 for CD with MIU. That was the first way I got it. That got stolen, so I bought this record online not too long ago. This album, a lot of people really don't like it. It's usually like MIU album rated kind of one of their worst. I think more people tend to like this one. I can't really remember. But I'm pretty sure most of the reviews for this one I read are a little bit better than that one. Which I agree with that, but I like that album and I think it's a lot better than what people tend to think. And I also think that about this album. I don't know, I think that from what I understand, when this album was released, the band was going through a lot of bad times. A lot of members were having problems in their personal lives, and the band wasn't getting along that well. I don't think there's a lot of Brian, like, performance-wise on this album. But there's more Carl and Dennis on it than there were on MIU albums, so that's definitely a plus. They brought Bruce Johnston back for this album. I think that was Brian's idea. He's responsible for the worst moment on this, I think. I'm pretty sure that's who idea that was, at least from what I've read. But yeah, this album, I think this came out during a really bad time for the band. They weren't popular. They were having a bunch of problems. I think they'd switched record labels. So it didn't do well. Not a popular album, but I don't know. I think that maybe all the stuff behind it, and also that it kind of has a terrible title, along with like MIU album. I don't know who's naming these albums at this point. They kind of picked 2 horrible album titles in a row. But yeah, I just think that maybe it's just all the stuff surrounding it that gives it the bad reputation, because I think it's a really good album. The first song, Good Timing, is a song by Brian and Carl. I think it's an older song. I think, like, from what I understand, the instrumental parts Brian did like earlier, and then Carl finished it for this album. It was one of the singles, I think the second one. It was on the Greatest Hits CD that I got when I first got into the Beach Boys, and it was one of the songs on that I got into pretty early on, which the song or CD had like 25 songs or something on it, and so the first time I got it, I listened through everything, and then on like subsequent listens, kind of from there, I would just kind of skip around to the ones I liked, and then as I got tired of those ones or just wanted to hear more, I would kind of start start listening to the ones that I didn't like at first. Well, this was one of the ones I got, I think, on really early into it. It was like one of the second round kind of songs, I think. So I think a really strong opening song, just a really kind of nice, pretty song with a great vocal from Carl. The second song, Lady Linda, is an Al song. It's got like some stolen Bach parts in it. I think like the opening keyboard parts and the outro parts and stuff. It was pretty cool. It was like a minor hit, I think, in the UK and some other countries. But yeah, I like it. I think a good song from Al. The third song, Full Sail, is a Carl song. It's one that took me kind of a while to get into because it's kind of the soft song, which this album does kind of have a lot of like softer kind of music on it. So I think that that's something that like maybe people might not be into. But I think that it's a cool song. Got a really cool vocal from Carl. Fourth song on the album, Angel Come Home, is actually my favorite song on the album. It's a song written by Carl and he had a co-writer. Pretty much all the songs on here have co-writers, but I didn't bother with the people who aren't in the band because I don't know any of them are, for the most part. But anyway, it's sung by Dennis, and I'm not sure why Carl chose to like give the song to Dennis to sing, but I think it was a good choice. It's definitely probably not just one of my favorite vocal performances from Dennis, but really by like anyone. It's such a like emotional vocal. I can see why like some people wouldn't like it because Dennis at this point has a really rough voice from all the stuff going on in his personal life. But I think he just kills the vocal here. Great song. This was the reason I got the album. I heard this song and I was like, oh, I have to have this album because I heard bad things about the album, so I wasn't sure. Even getting into the Beach Boys when I was really like buying all their albums and stuff, I kind of knew that I was gonna stop getting them at some point because I knew that they were supposed to get really bad at some point, and I was never sure where that was gonna be. It actually ended up being after this album, so up until I decided to do the reviews for all these, I didn't have anything after this album. So starting next week, well, there's one live album that I did have. And I had the reunion album and the Smile sessions and stuff, but all the 80s stuff basically I didn't have until recently, so those are going to be newer albums to me when I review them. But anyway, I'm rambling. Yeah, great song. The fifth song, Love Surrounds Me, it's a Dennis song. I think it was supposed to be for his second unreleased solo album, Bamboo. And this is kind of a song that I was familiar with it before I got this album because I got Dennis Wilson's solo album Pacific Ocean Blue before I really even got a lot of Beach Boys albums actually, and the CD version that I got came with a second disc that has, I don't know if it has like all the songs that were supposed to be on Bamboo, but it has a lot of the songs that were supposed to be on Bamboo. And it has this song, I'm not sure if it's a different version than the one on here. I think it is because it definitely sounds different. But anyway, rambling. But so I was familiar with the song, and it was a song that took me a while to get into, but Dennis's songwriting is like that sometimes for me because he doesn't always have like the most immediately catchy songs. Sometimes he does have like very catchy songs right off the bat, but sometimes his songs aren't always like the most catchy for me, and like those songs that are kind of catchy are the easiest for me to like get into quick. But yeah, I don't know. His songs definitely are songs that the more I listen to them, the more I get from them. And this one's pretty cool. It's not really my favorite one from that like time. So I kind of like, I guess I can kind of see why they picked that one, but I don't know. The sixth song, Tsumahama, is it's a Mike Love song with it's like Japanese influenced, and that really sounds like it shouldn't work. And I bet this is a song that like people probably either love or hate. I actually love this song though. For me, I don't know. I just think it's really catchy. I really like the vocal melody that he wrote for it, and I don't know. I like the vocal that he does. I just think it's a really catchy song, and kind of a highlight of the album for me, and probably like my. I think I had three already, but my third or fourth best Mike Love moment. So like I was saying, Mike is, I think, the member of the band that I usually have the most problems with. But I do occasionally appreciate things that he does, so I like to kind of make a deal out of it when I do. But it still doesn't make up for student demonstration time. Anyway, the seventh song, and the beginning of side two is I think the biggest problem with this album, and I hated it for a very long time. I still really don't like it that much, but the 10-minute disco version of Here Comes the Night. I think that's kind of what this album's notorious for. I think it was mostly Bruce Johnson's idea. Just they bring Bruce back and he does this. Very naughty Bruce. Very naughty indeed. Yeah, this is way too long. Like, if they did like 3 minutes of this, maybe 4, I think that might even be pushing it a little bit, but if they'd done a short disco version of Here Comes the Night, that'd probably be fine. This though, like 10 minutes, it just goes on forever. It's aimless. They start putting in stupid like jungle noises and stuff. It just gets dumb. And it's not even like when they do the version of the song, like Carl doesn't sound like he's into it. Maybe he didn't want to do it. I think that Dennis didn't want to do it. I don't even know if he's on it. But yeah, it just doesn't sound anywhere near as good as the original version of the song. Like, I have no problem with them doing disco. I think it'd be cool if they did a good disco song. This is just like, this is bad. But I don't quite hate it as much as I used to. Like, I used to hate it. I used to skip it. I at least now get some kind of like ironic enjoyment out of it. I kind of think it's funny, but yeah, definitely the weakest part of the album. And for a long time, I would have said it was one of the worst things that they ever recorded. It still might be, but they definitely got worse. Student demonstration time for one. Not to keep going on about that song, but I really hate it. The 8th song, Baby Blue, another Dennis song. This one's mostly sung by Carl. Dennis sings part of it. But it's a really pretty song. Carl does a really great job with his parts. The part where Dennis sings is my favorite part of the song. There's something about, like, I don't know, just the most memorable part of the song for me. But just like kind of a soft, pretty song, like probably, you know, it kind of takes some time to get into and appreciate. But really cool song. I'm not sure if it was one for Dennis's solo album or not. It's not a version of it, at least on the one that I have. And then the 9th song, Going South, Carl's song. This is another one that took me a while to get into because it's another one of the soft songs. And it's not like super immediately catchy, but I appreciate it. I think it's a pretty song. It's got a really great vocal from Carl. Not like the most memorable thing, but definitely a nice, like, pleasant song. And the 10th song and final track, Shortened and Bread, is I think a pretty funny way to end the album. Brian apparently was just like super into this song. I think he thought it was like one of the greatest songs ever, is what I read. But it's I don't know. I think it's an entertaining. I'm not like super familiar with the song, but I think it's kind of an entertaining take on it or whatever. Kind of a fun way to end the album. It's just kind of silly, but they do it, you know, kind of energetic and just weird, you know, Beach Boys sounding way. So yeah, I think pretty strong closing track, really. So yeah, Beach Boys Light album. Honestly, this album for me is a 4 out of 5. I mean, call me crazy, but I think Here Comes the Night to me is the only bad song on here, and I can enjoy that, even that ironically, every now and then. I mean, I'm not going to listen to it every time I listen to this album. If I have the option to skip it, I'll skip it. But, you know, if I'm putting on the vinyl, I'll listen to it. Just way too long. Bruce, what were you thinking? But yeah, I don't think this is where they started to get like weak. I mean, I guess to me this isn't like, this is kind of got some new direction and ideas for them. It's not all just like milking nostalgia. I guess most people would just think that those directions weren't good new things, but I think it was cool. So yeah, I think that it's after this where they start getting worse. But yeah, Beach Boys' light album, better than what people think.